Good morning, O'Neill. I hope everyone's having a fabulous day today. It is Monday, December 21st, and we are on winter break, and I'm having some fun. Had some fun over the weekend with my family and did some cleaning and all that stuff. But today starts our first day of reading together, Save Me a Seat. And so I'm going to read it with you today. So if you have your copy, you can take yours out and read with me. Today we're going to read the first 5 chapters. And while we're reading, I'm going to show you some vocabulary pictures. And I'm also going to ask you a couple questions. So you can email me or email your teacher or however you want to do it to answer those questions. Okay? All right. So we have our book, Save Me a Seat by Sarah Weeks and Geeta Vardarajan. That one's a little hard. There's some hard words in here to pronounce. So we're going to try our best and we're going to take it slow. But let me read the back of the book just to get you started and ready if you haven't already. So Joe and Ravi might be from very different places, but they're both stuck in the same place, school. Joe lived in the same town all his life and was doing just fine until his best friends moved away and left him on his own. Ravi's family just moved to America from India, and he's finding it pretty hard to figure out where he fits in. Joe and Ravi don't think they have anything in common, but soon enough, they have a common enemy, the biggest bully in the class, and a common mission to take control of their lives over the course of a single crazy week. We're going to take 2 weeks to read this book together while you're on winter break. And so let's get started. So sit back, relax, take out your book, or you can listen to me, whatever you want. We'll figure it out. All right, Monday, chicken fingers. Now, you know this book doesn't have any pictures, so I'm not going to be showing you the book. So I want you to visualize in your mind what you're seeing and what smells you might smell and what you might be feeling, okay? Because that's what we do with novels, because there's no pictures for us. We have to make the pictures in our mind, all right? Chapter 1, Ravi. Most people in America cannot pronounce my name. On the first day at my new school, my teacher, Miss Beam, is brave enough to try. Sir Yan, 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 she says, her eyebrows twitched as she attempts to sound it out. Su, yi, a, ne, ra, nan, na. I say slowly. She tries again, but it's no better. I'm going to have to work on that, she says with a laugh, and I laugh too. Suri, a, ni, ri, ya, nan is my surname. My first name is Ravi. It's pronounced Ra-vi with a soft Ra and a strong V. In Sanskrit, it means the sun. In American, people call me Ravi with the stress on the first syllable. That doesn't mean anything. Patience is a virtue, Amma reminds me often. She believes that with time, people will learn how to say our names correctly. My grandmother tells her not to hold her breath. So, has anyone ever mispronounced your name? How did that make you feel? I know people have misspelled my first name a lot and my last name, but I haven't had that much of an experience of people not pronouncing my name correctly. But if you have, how did that make you feel? And if I ever pronounce your name incorrectly, please tell me and I will help and I will change. We moved to Hamilton, New Jersey a few months ago, May 13th to be exact. I'm fresh off the boat. What does that mean? I love that there's so many idioms in this book. And so when we have an idiom, we'll talk about that and discover what it might mean. So I'm fresh off the boat. Typically, well, long, long ago, immigrants came to this country on a boat. And so when someone says they are fresh off the boat, that means they are a new immigrant to this country. My father got a promotion in his IT company in Bangalore. So they transferred him to America. In India, Amma, Appa, and I had our own house with a cook and a big garden. We even had a driver to take us wherever we needed to go. My grandparents lived in their own flat nearby. Now we all live together in a townhouse in a place called Hamilton Mews. Things are very different here in America. Appa takes the train to work. We don't have a cook anymore, so Amma has to prepare all the meals herself. Have you figured out? Amma is mom and Appa is dad. Our new house is much smaller than the old one. There is only one bathroom upstairs, which I share with my grandparents. I wouldn't mind so much, except that Paripa likes to take long showers, and Parima leaves her teeth in a glass by the sink at night. There's another one. Paripa, grandpa. Parima, grandma. I learned to speak English when I was very young. We speak mostly English at home, and I went to an English medium school, but for some reason, people here in New Jersey have trouble understanding me when I speak. I am trying to learn how to swirl my tongue to sound more American. My grandmother doesn't like it. Be proud of who you are and remember where you come from, she tells me. If you're not careful, you'll turn into one of them. Your grandfather didn't slave in the tea plantations, so his only grandson would become some rude, overweight, beef-eating cowboy. I don't think Parima likes America. My school in India is called the Vida Mandar, which means Temple of Knowledge. My new school is called Albert Einstein Elementary. Parima could hardly wait to show off to all her friends at home that her grandson had been accepted to a school named after a scientific genius. I'm not a scientific genius, but I am a very good student. My favorite subjects are math, English, and sports, especially cricket. So, cricket, I'm going to show you a picture. Whoop, there you go. Is kind of like baseball, but it uses a different kind of bat and it's played quite differently. But it is a super cool sport in India. So that is cricket, not like the bug cricket that we have. Boys and girls, please welcome our new student, Ravi. Miss Beam says after she's taken the roll call. He's come to us all the way from India. Isn't that exciting? Miss Beam is short and round. When she smiles, her eyebrows touch each other. As I look around the room and see a sea of mostly white faces stares back at me. I feel a little nervous. It is my first day of 5th grade in room 506, and I am the only Indian in my class. There is one other, a boy named Dylan Samarine, but he doesn't count. He is an ABCD, American-born confused Desi. Desi is a Hindi word for Indian. I can tell Dylan is an ABCD because he speaks and dresses more like an American than an Indian. Tell us something about yourself, Ravi, Miss Beam says, smiling at me. Yes, ma'am, I say, standing at attention. Everyone laughs. Miss Beam claps her hands. Boys and girls, where are your manners? She asks. Go on, Ravi, we're listening. I push my glasses and continue. My name is Ravi Suranarana, and I just shifted from Bangalore. Everyone laughs again. What's so funny, I wonder? Miss Beam claps her hands. Her eyebrows are twitching like mad. Boys and girls, is this how we welcome a new student at Albert Einstein? The room gets quieter. The spotlight is on me. I can feel the whole class staring. This is my first day of school in America, and things are not going well. Miss Beam turns to me. You can call me Miss Beam, she says softly. And Ravi, here in America, students don't need to stand up when a teacher calls on them. Do you understand? Of course I do. I push up my glasses and rub my nose. It's something I do when I'm nervous. Miss Beam comes over to my desk. She has a look of pity on her face. Don't worry, Ravi, she says, patting me on the shoulder. You can introduce yourself to class later, after you've had a little time to work on your English. We have a very nice teacher, Miss Frost, in the resource room. I'm sure she can help you. I want to say, number 1, my English is fine. Number 2, I don't need Miss Frost. And number 3, I was top of my class. Evita Mandir. But here's what I do instead. Push up my glasses, rub my nose, sit down, and fold my hands. My friends and teachers at Vida Mandir would have a good laugh if they could see me now, their star student taken for an idiot. What a joke. Miss Beam is writing out our homework on the board. I open my notebook and carefully copy down the assignment. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Dylan Samarine staring at me. He looks like a movie star straight out of Bollywood. So you know how we in like Los Angeles is called Hollywood, like where all the movie stars are? Well, in India, there is Bollywood. So there's a lot of cool movies that come out of India, and their kind of nickname for it is Bollywood. So just so you know. His long, shiny black hair falls over one eye. With a quick jerk of his head, he shakes it away. Then he smiles and winks at me. I smile back. Dylan Samarine may be an A, B, C, D, but I think he wants to be my friend. Chapter 2. Joe. My name is Joe, but that's not what most people call me. Not at Einstein anyway. I've never been a big fan of school except for lunch. Eating is the one thing that I'm really good at. I've always been tall for my age, but lately I've been growing so fast, my clothes don't fit anymore. Even the ones we bought a few weeks ago. I'm always hungry. A lot of kids wouldn't be caught dead eating school lunch. They call it mystery meat and slop. But I don't mind. Every week it shows up in the same order. Chicken fingers, hamburgers, chili, macaroni and cheese, and pizza. By the way, it's not a coincidence that Tuesday is burger day and Wednesday is chili day. Because at Einstein, hamburgers get recycled. It's not as bad as it sounds. The leftover burgers from Tuesday get dumped into a big pot with beans and some other junk, and presto changeo. On Wednesday, you've got chili. Everybody knows I don't talk much at school. My best friends, Evan and Ethan, used to call me Blabbermouth as a joke. So Blabbermouth, kind of a funny little thing, is somebody who talks and talks and talks and talks and talks a lot. So Blabbermouth. But Joe's the opposite. As a joke, but I guess I'm not going to be hearing that much now, since they both moved away over the summer. To be honest, they were a little weird, but I'm going to miss them anyway. Ethan and Evan and I ate lunch together every day last year, and they had to go to the resource room for extra help, same as me. Not that we had the same problems. For one thing, they were both super hyper, and I'm not. This year, I'll have to go by myself to see Miss Frost, and I'm not sure how I'm going to eat lunch with. Probably no one. People think you're unfriendly if you don't talk to them, but I don't understand that that's a problem for me and it's so noisy in the cafeteria. My brain and noise don't get along. Last year, I had Mr. Barnes for my teacher. Mr. Barnes is epic. He can bounce a hacky sack off his knee 100 times without messing up. I never heard of hacky sack until Mr. Barnes. So this is a picture of a hacky sack. So like hacky sacks were like kind of cool and everything when I was in high school and in college, and you'd stand around in the circle and kick a hacky sack back and forth to each other. So that's a hacky sack. It was pink, which Dylan Samarine thought was hilarious. He said something mean about it behind Mr. Barnes' back, and all the girls laughed. Sometimes I wonder what's wrong with girls, but then I remember I already know what's wrong with girls. Everything. Hey, Joe. Mr. Barnes is African American. He shaves his head and wears bow ties, real ones. You have to tie yourself. He must have talked to Miss Frost about me because he never asked me to read out loud in front of class or come up to the board to do math problems. He understood those things are hard for kids like me. Some people didn't mind having everybody look at them. Dylan Samarine, for instance. He wears his pants pulled down low with his underwear sticking out the top. He wants people to see it. His boxers have dollar signs on them, or dice, or lobsters, and he has special ones for holidays too, with candy corn or Christmas trees or hearts for Valentine's Day. Dylan is famous for his boxers, but his real claim to fame is his tongue, which is long and pointy like a devil's. When he sticks it out and makes the girls scream, he thinks he's the smartest kid at Einstein. And he might be right. He's definitely the meanest. Sometimes I wonder what it would be like to be Dylan Samarine, but that is something I'll never know. Mr. Barnes was the first teacher I ever had who liked me. Miss Frost likes me, but she likes everybody, so it doesn't count. On my final report card, Mr. Barnes wrote that I was a valuable member of the community. My mom was so proud she stuck it on the refrigerator with a magnet. It's still there. Today is the first day of school, and Mr. Barnes is the first person I run into when I get there. He's wearing a red bow tie with little blue whales on it. I'm pretty sure it's new, or at least I've never seen it before. Last year, Mr. Barnes had 17 different bow ties, and he always wore them in the same order, starting with the green one with the white diamonds and ending with the orange and purple striped one. Mr. Barnes' bow ties were another one of my favorite sequences. Yo, Joe, he says, how you feel to be in fifth grader? Good, I tell him, at least so far. Maybe this year will be different, I think. Maybe Dylan Samarine won't be in my class. When I get to room 506, there he is, standing over by the windows with his underwear hanging out. Polka dots. Lucy Mulligan and a bunch of her annoying girlfriends are standing around him chanting, do it, do it, do it. They want him to stick out his tongue, but Dylan won't. Come on, Samarine, let's give them what they want. Tom Dinkins shouts out before sticking out his tongue and wagging it at the girls. Tom Dinkins is Dylan Samarine's wannabe. The girls don't care about his tongue. I warn you, Dylan, tells his fan club. I think it grew a little over the summer. Lucy and her friends start jumping up and down, screaming, ew. One thing I will say about Dylan Samarine, he really knows how to play a crowd. All the screaming starts to get to me, so I do the in, 2, 3, out, 2, 3 breathing Miss Frost taught me. If that doesn't work, I'll have to use my earplugs. I always keep a pair in my pocket just in case. They come in different colors, but I like the tan ones best because they don't show as much. They're made out of some kind of squishy foam rubber, and when I wear them, I can still hear people talking, only it's softer, like when you're underwater or have a pillow over your head. I'm allowed to wear my earplugs in school whenever I want, but mostly I use them in the cafeteria, on the playground, and in gym class. Settle down and take your seats, announces Miss Beam, my new teacher. This is her first year teaching at Einstein, and she looks a lot younger than any of the other teachers I've had. She's shaped kind of funny, wider at the bottom than at the top, and she's shorter than me, which is weird, considering that she's my teacher. She seems nervous, and there's something freaky about her eyebrows. At Einstein, kids have to sit in alphabetical order. Every year since kindergarten, my seat has been right behind Dylan's. I know the back of his head by heart. Miss Beam has made name cards for us and put them on the desks. But when I go to take my seat behind Dylan, somebody's already sitting in there. He is a shrimpy looking kid with thick glasses and greased down black hair parted on the side. I've never seen him before, and I'm not sure where he's from. His skin is darker than mine, but not as dark as Dylan's or Caleb Burrell's. When I look at the card sitting on his desk, I see his name is about a mile long and full of Y's and A's. He seems kind of nervous too. He keeps rubbing his nose and looking down at his hands, which are folded in his lap, like he's in church or something. His shirt is so white it hurts my eyes to look at, and he's got it tucked in, buttoned up all the way to the top. When Miss Beam asks him to tell the class about himself, he stands up like he's in the army and calls her ma'am, which is about the only word he says that you can actually understand. Everybody starts laughing, and for a minute, I think, hey, maybe fifth grade isn't going to be so bad after all. Maybe Dylan Samarine will decide to pick on the new kid with the weird name and the funny accent instead of me. So, I have a question for you. What was your best first day of school, and what has been your worst first day of school? I had some pretty good ones and some not so great ones, even more so being a teacher and a principal. So I wonder what yours are. All right, Chapter 3, Ravi. Miss Beam tells us we're going to play some games called icebreakers. So here's the little picture, like when we're doing online and we do ask questions to try to get to know you better, do little scavenger hunts or things like that. Those are icebreakers. I can tell that school in America is going to be easy for me. At Vida Madar, we never played games during class. On my first day of fourth grade, my teacher, Miss Arun, gave us a test. The first game Miss Beam teaches us is called fruit salad. I am on a team called Bananas, and Dylan is on the Apples. Another game is called Wink Murder. I don't know if we'd play this one. In this game, one person is the murderer, and he or she has to knock people out by winking at them. I find this game a bit confusing because even when Dylan is not the one chosen to be the murderer, he still winks at me. The last game we played is called Then Friends. For this game, Miss Beam assigns us partners, and I hope that she will put me with Dylan Samarine. But instead, my partner is a pale, skinny girl called Emily Mooney. You'll have a few questions to interview each other, Miss Beam explains. Find out as much as you can about your partner. For instance, what kind of music does he or she like? What is his or her favorite food or sport? When you're finished your interviews, you'll create a Venn diagram showing all the things you have in common. What the heck, says the red-haired boy with freckles. He doesn't know what a Venn diagram is, so Miss Beam has to explain it. At Vida Mandir, we learned how to make Venn diagrams in third grade. Each of you must draw a circle and fill it with a list of things that your partner enjoys. Miss Beam says, then you and your partner will draw 2 overlapping circles. Where the circles intersect, you'll make a list of all the things you discovered you have in common. At first, I think this is going to be an easy game for me, but every time I try to talk to Emily Mooney or ask her a question, she giggles and says, what? Then I try to answer her questions. She does the same thing. Appa says that someday I will be interested in girls, but that day has definitely not come yet. When Miss Beam calls time, the only thing Emily Mooney and I have found to place in the intersection of our diagram is that we are both in room 506, and that was my idea. And I'm glad when Miss Beam tells us it's time to get ready for lunch. At Vida Mandir, our lunch period began at 1 o'clock. Fifth graders at Albert Einstein Elementary School eat lunch at 11:30 in the morning. When I get to the lunchroom, the first thing I do is look for Dylan Samarine. In India, my best friend, Paramad, and I always ate lunch together. Afterwards, we play cricket in the field behind school. I spot Dylan standing in the queue waiting to buy his lunch. So queue is like when you're standing in line and you have a certain spot to stand into. So you're just waiting for your turn. That means when you are in the queue. That's kind of a picture. They were serving something I have never heard before called chicken fingers. Most of the tables are filling up quickly, but I spot an empty table on the opposite side of the lunchroom and sit down. While I wait for Dylan to join me, I carefully lay out the cloth napkin that my mother packed for me, neatly folded with a spoon tucked into it. I'm not feeling very hungry, but Amma will be upset if I don't eat lunch she made for me. A oompa made with pure desi ghee. She says as she stirred the pot this morning, Semonilla will give you plenty of energy for your first day of school, Ravi. Too lumpy, Pirima criticized, looking over my mother's shoulder as she cooked. I'm just getting ready to open my stainless steel tiffin box. Another one. Tiffin box is kind of like a lunchbox, but it has little compartments. So each of those is a compartment where you can put something in. So kind of like Tupperware or like, different kind of things that you can put in. So, and it all connects together. So that is a tiffin box. When Dylan Samarine walks by carrying his tray, I caught a glimpse of his underwear earlier in class. There were red dots on it. I think my own underwear, clean white Hanes from Kohl's, that my mother insists on ironing. There's no way I would ever let my underwear hang out like that, whatever that kind of underwear is called. I thought Dylan and I would eat lunch together today, but instead he goes and sits down at a table by the corner by the window with some of the other boys. I was looking forward to having a good laugh with him about Miss Beam suggesting that I needed special help. But it's okay. I'm not worried. I'm sure that Dylan and I are going to be friends. He's smiling and winking at me all morning. A big white kid with yellow hair and a wrinkled shirt comes and puts his tray down by the other end of my table. He doesn't say hello to me, just sits down on the bench. He's so big, the table shakes and my tiffin box jumps. I recognize him as the guy who sits behind me in class, but I don't remember his name. He doesn't seem very friendly. He picks up his fork and starts shoveling food into his mouth and doesn't stop eating until his plate is clean. I think maybe he forgot to eat breakfast and that he's gotten in his ears. I'm feeling a little hungry now, too. I spread the napkin on my lap and bend down, sniffing at the puma. Pirima was wrong. It's perfect, not lumpy at all. So I gobble it down quickly. I need to wash my hands and rinse my mouth. But for some reason, there isn't any sink in the lunchroom. I look at my watch. I still have 10 minutes left until the bell rings. So I tuck the spoon back into the napkin, place it in the tiffin box, and buckle the lid. As I'm on my way out of the lunchroom to wash up in the boys' bathroom, a roar of laughter comes from the table in the corner by the window. Dylan Samarine must have made a good joke because everyone is slapping him on the back and treating him like he's a hero. I smile to myself. I know exactly how it feels to be that guy. I know something else too. Tomorrow, I will not be eating my lunch alone. I will be sitting at the table in the corner by the window, right next to Dylan Samarine. Wow, that is a half an hour, and that's how long I want these to be. So we're going to stop at chapter 4 and we'll continue reading. So we might be reading this for more than just a couple days. So we will see. I'm so excited to be reading this with you, spending a half an hour reading every day, which is how you become, really a strong reader. Learning new vocabulary. You saw me. Some of the words I screwed up on and I skipped over or didn't pronounce correctly, and that's okay. The more you read, the more often you read, the better reader you become. So I hope you continue reading with me. We'll read for another half an hour tomorrow, and I know we're going to have so much fun. So we are starting tomorrow on chapter 4. All right. I hope you have a fabulous day.